start recording, but I remember how to do it now. Okay, so many of you will receive a little alert at the top of your screen that says I'm recording, and you can just dismiss that. That won't have anything, won't cause any problems for our presentation today. So I would like Izzy. Izzy, are you ready to begin?
Yes, hi.
Hi, Izzy. Okay, so the way it's going to go is we're going to get started a couple minutes early because I think that more people are here. And you're going to share your screen. And I'm inviting everyone, let's see, participants. I'm going to mute everyone's video except you. You're going to have to unmute yourself, Izzy, after I press this. And then you can get started, all right?
All right. I'm sharing the screen. Here we go. All right. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
So my name is Isabel Perec, and I did my Westcott project on Switzerland. So you might be wondering what the Westcott project is. It's also called Imagineering in a Box. And this is a quote from their top of their website. Imagineering in a Box is designed to pull back the curtain to how artists, designers, and engineers work together to create theme parks. Go behind the scenes with Disney Imagineers and complete project-based exercises to design a theme park of your very own. So basically, we're building a theme park or pavilion based off of a country instead of a Disney movie. I chose Switzerland, as you can tell, and Switzerland chose it because it has a sort of theme where the nature and the architecture mesh together really well. And you could look at a picture of Switzerland and know that it's from Switzerland. It has a lot of beautiful places and attractions, so I could use that to work off of and help build my pavilion. And I've been to Switzerland, so I could use my own experiences to help build it as well. Switzerland is in Europe, as you probably know, and it borders France, Germany, Austria, and Italy. It is a mainly Christian country, but not extremely, because 21% of the population is not affiliated with any religion. 38% of the population is Roman Catholic, and 27% is Protestant. And the official languages are German, Roman, French, and Italian. There are two stories that I wanted to tell while building this pavilion. First, I wanted to tell the story of my attraction and my ride, and that is a more literal story where it has a plot with a problem, a climax, and a resolution. And second, I wanted to tell the story of what it would be like to walk into Switzerland through the pavilion, like walking into the pavilion. This is kind of a very short sketch of what the layout might look like. You can see there's the roller coaster in the bottom left, and then that winds up a mountain, and then on the right there's a street that resembles a Swiss town, and there could be a lot of uses for that because it would be useful buildings like restrooms and a help center if they get lost, but also attractions such as a Swiss chocolate factory and other fun things. And then there's also a waterfall because Switzerland has lots of nature, and that's only one example. It would be like you're at a national park or a site, and then there's lots of greenery everywhere because Switzerland has a lot of greenery. Here's some examples of architecture in Switzerland. As you can tell, they have a color palette, and they use a lot of wood, and they all have an almost mountainside look to it. And then here are some examples of nature in Switzerland, and it also has a color palette of that similar shade of blue, lots of green and some grays for rocks. They have a lot of mountains, forests, rivers, waterfalls, and lakes, and farms. As you can see, I was talking about color palettes, and there's two different color palettes, the nature color palette and the architecture color palette. And separate, they're pretty distinct, but together, it looks like Switzerland is a very colorful place, and it is. There's also graphics, and there's three types of graphics. There's wayfinding graphics, ghost graphics, and story graphics. So ghost graphics are like in the middle. There's a sign covered in vines, and it's not an integral part of the pavilion. It's not a part of the story, but it kind of helps the subconscious background. Like that sign could say that there used to be a forest there, but there isn't anymore. And then that's called ghost graphics. And story graphics are like on the far left, the name of the waterfall is designed to look like a national park sign, and that helps to tell the story of where you are and why. And then on the right, there's wayfinding graphics, which are necessary graphics like restrooms and exits. The 3 different types of sounds of the pavilion. There's music, the soundscape, and the sound effects. The music is pretty similar to what we listen to in the United States, lots of pop, Taylor Swift, and Ed Sheeran. And then the soundscape is kind of just nature with water and wind. And then on top of that would be effects like birds and stronger gusts of wind. For food, famous Swiss food is fondue, and that would be the appetizer and the dessert of my menu that I made here, because they have different types, cheese fondue and chocolate fondue. And then the main course is roasty, which is a potato in a fritter style. And their drinks are pretty similar to those in the United States, but they drink a lot of mountainside drinks like hot cider and hot chocolate. Here's a mood board of what I would want the pavilion to look and feel like. When I went to Switzerland, I saw a lot of cows, so I have that there. It's also famous for skiing, obviously, so there's some skiing pictures, there's the fondue, the architecture, and all the nature. Second part of this project was to build a roller coaster ride. And so a dark ride is an indoor amusement ride in which passengers board guided vehicles through lit scenes. And I chose not to do that because lots of Switzerland's attractions are outside and in nature. And my attraction goes up a mountain, so that has to be outside. My attraction has 7 scenes that stand out to the rider, and they kind of play out like a storybook. And I chose this attraction because it helps the story, because it's a mountain rescue. And then the best way to express this story visually is through the scenes that you go through during this ride. Or if you want to do something else, you could probably tell the story of the roller coaster through a book or through drawings. Here's a small sketch of what it would kind of look like. And I chose the system because it worked best with what I was trying to do, which was go up a mountain, and it had to intertwine with other tracks. And then the vehicle I chose to put on this was a snowmobile-like vehicle that seats 6 people. And as the story is a mountain rescue, it made sense that you would go up in a snowmobile. So we had to make a scale model, and you can see the top left corner is the finished project because this is the scale model. And then here's just some pictures of what it kind of looked like going through. I couldn't fit them all in here, but basically you'd set the scene and then you'd see an injured mountaineer, and you'd go up and around the mountain, and then there's a tunnel at the top. And when you go through the tunnel on the other side, there's a drop, and you come back around to the bottom right picture. Important thing I learned while doing this project is that projects don't usually turn out as you imagined, and things that seem easy are hard to manifest into reality. Because I'm doing a lot of things that face some challenges, and the first idea I had was not plausible, so I had to change the whole thing once. And then some problems I encountered were I didn't have supplies that I wanted to use, and the supplies that I did have was cardboard, and it's hard to bend that and cut it and get it to stay where I wanted it to stay. And then cardboard is brown, so it's not very colorful, and I couldn't make 3D scenes. So I solved some of these by making 2D scenes instead, so I didn't want to solve it, I changed it. And then for color, I used some spray paint and supplies. I used what I had, which was cardboard. So some triumphs where I got to make a ride that wound up around the mountain, and it was pretty 3D, and it went under and over other parts of the track, which was pretty cool. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Izzy. We've got about 2 minutes left for questions, so I'd like to just start you off with a question of what was the most important thing in this process?
The most important thing, or the most important thing I learned?
The most important thing you learned. The most important thing you learned.
That I should probably, when I make a project in my mind, understand that it's hard to miss that. Like turning your imagination into something that you can see and look at is a lot harder than you might think.
Okay, and one last question for you. What was one of your successes that you're most proud of?
Getting a track that went under and over other pieces of the track without it like running into each other, because originally the project was to just kind of stick it up on the ground and they didn't actually intertwine with each other, but I thought it'd be cooler to do that, so I had to make that work. And I did.
Great work, Izzy. You should be proud of yourself.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next participants that we have are Gemma and Katie. So Gemma and Katie, I think you know how to make yourself the presenters and you can make your slideshow. When you share your screen.
Gemma will be sharing her screen.
Okay.
So.
Thanks, Katie.
Yep, no problem.
I'm going to mute myself, and then you ladies can begin.
Ready, Gemma? Hamilton.
Okay. There we go.
Okay, ready, Gemma?
Yeah.
Hamilton.
Genius Time project done by Katie and Gemma.
What actually is Hamilton? It's a musical theater production, specifically one that tells the story of forgotten American founding father Alexander Hamilton and his ascent out of poverty into power against the backdrop of the American War of Independence. These are the different casts of Hamilton, the cast of today's Hamilton and the original cast of Hamilton. I will give you about 15 seconds to read as much as you can and like. That was about the time, so. Interesting facts about the Hamilton. Number 1. Lin-Manuel Miranda would only hire immigrants because Alexander Hamilton is an immigrant. Number 2. The first song Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote took him a year, and the second song took another year. Number 3. Hamilton the musical was originally going to be a mixtape, not a musical. Number 4. The success of Hamilton has led to a promising career writing music for movies like Moana and Star Wars: The Force Awakens. And
can you confirm that everybody can see your slides? Because I can't. Sorry to interrupt. Ask if people can see.
Just a quick interruption, sorry. Can people see the slides?
I can see them.
Yep,
I can see them.
I can see them.
Yep.
They're coming across the screen just fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like Matthew Schulteis can see him, but Andrew Schulteis can't either. So it might be an iPad issue.
Okay,
Oh,
because
it might be an iPad issue, yeah.
yeah, my mom just commented that she can't see the slides.
I think a number of us can see them, and on the recording that I'm doing, they're clear. So, Gemma and Katie, you can continue. Thank you.
Number 5. There are 46 songs in the American musical Hamilton. Down in the bottom left corner are the Schuyler sisters. The one in the pink dress is Angelica, the oldest sister. The one in the blue dress is Eliza, who Alexander married. And the one in the yellow dress is Peggy, the youngest sister. The picture in the middle is a picture of Alexander Hamilton, portrayed by Lin-Manuel Miranda, the creator of the show. And in the top left corner is General Marquis de Lafayette.
The man in the powdered wig is the real Alexander Hamilton. The battle scene is the surrendering of Yorktown, the battle that ended the American Revolution. And the picture in the top right corner are the real Schuyler sisters. Angelica's on the left, Eliza's in the middle, and Peggy is on the right. Dates in real life. January 11th, 1755. Alexander Hamilton is born in Nevis, an island in the Caribbean. February 19th, 1768. Alexander Hamilton's mother dies of yellow fever. October 1772. Alexander Hamilton arrives in New York City. January 1st, 1774. Alexander Hamilton's political start. June 28, 1778. Alexander Hamilton fights in the Battle of Monmouth. December 14, 1780. Alexander Hamilton marries Elizabeth Schuyler. September 14, 1789. He is appointed the Secretary of the Treasury. December 28, 1790. Alexander Hamilton creates the first national bank. December 14, 1779. George Washington dies. June 18, 1804. Aaron Burr proposes a duel to Alexander Hamilton. July 11, 1804. Alexander Hamilton dies from injuries from the fatal duel with Aaron Burr. Background information. Duel. An affair of honor where you invite someone to go to an open area, take 10 paces, and fire one shot. The first one to either yield or die loses. Treasury. Part of the American government that manages and distributes the money extracted from the public via taxes. Battle of Monmouth. A famous battle fought in the American Revolution fought at Monmouth, New Jersey, in which the American troops scraped a stalemate. Fun facts. Number 1. Alexander Hamilton is the man on the $10 bill. Number 2. Some of Alexander Hamilton's best friends were John Laurens, the civil rights defender, Hercules Mulligan, the American spy in England, and Marie-Joseph Paul Yves Roche Gilbert du Motier de Lafayette, Marquis de Lafayette, the fabulous French general with a gloriously long name. Number 3. Alexander Hamilton was the best friend and right-hand man of the wonderful George Washington, whom he served until Washington's death in 1979. To learn more. Reflections. What was the original motivation for this project? I think that the original motivation for this project for me was my love of Hamilton and my wish that Katie could learn more about Hamilton.
My original motivation for this project was, as Gemma said, that Gemma always loved Hamilton and she wanted me to learn more about it, which I also wanted to learn more about it. So, yeah.
What is the most important thing that you learned? I think the most important thing that I learned is that if you're working with a partner, you have to trust them completely and let them do their own work instead of trying to be in control of everything they're trying to do.
I feel that the most important thing that I learned was that when you are working together, both people in the group should do their part and not have one person do all the work. What were your original objectives? Did you meet them? My original objective was to learn more about Hamilton the musical, which I did end up meeting.
My original objective was to learn more about the real history of who the actual man was, and I met that.
What has allowed you to continue your passion through this process? The thing that has allowed me to continue this project is the fact that I've been wanting to learn more about Hamilton for a while, because since Gemma and I met, she has talked about Hamilton quite a bit, and when she does, it sounds interesting and has made me want to learn about it. So, yeah.
What has allowed me to continue my passion throughout this process is that I've had someone else to do the work with, and we've helped organize. We had someone to help with organizing and someone to lean on if it gets tough.
Thank you for seeing our presentation. Also, I would like to say one last thing about this. I will be sending the links to I'm pretty sure a group chat that is in this call, so.
Thank you so much, Gemma and Katie. I have one more question for you. I actually would like to invite other students to ask a question of you.
Okay. Sure.
So Ashley or Isabella or Josie or Pear, does anyone else, would anyone like to start with asking a question to Gemma and Katie?
How did you originally get into Hamilton? Like, what introduced you to it?
What introduced me to it was, well, one day I was just sitting at the table doing my homework, and my parents were just like, "Hey, we heard about this musical. We should listen to it." And I was just like, "Okay." And then the next morning I was like, "Oh, I like that musical. Let's play it again."
Gemma was the one that originally introduced Hamilton to me. So, yeah.
Can we get one more question from someone in the audience?
Have you actually seen Hamilton?
I have once, and I'm going again in the fall. Well, this fall.
I haven't, but I hope to sometime.
Thank you so much. I've got one last question for you, ladies, and that is, what is one of the biggest challenges that you had?
I think one of the biggest challenges that we had was realizing that I couldn't control what Katie did, and I just had to rely on the fact that she would get her work done, and so would I.
I think that's a fantastic life lesson that you will apply to all of the opportunities you have throughout your schooling and in life, every time you need to work with someone else. That's a really great lesson learned. Okay, so let's move on to Josie Mclaughlin. Thank you so much again, Gemma and Katie.
No problem.
So Josie, you can share your screen.
All right.
And I am really looking forward to hearing about drawing on Instagram and TikTok.
All right.
So I'm going to mute myself and set the timer for you, and you can begin whenever you're ready, Josie.
All right, can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can.
All right. So the title of my project was How Much Can I Improve My Art? And so basically my project was I wanted to improve my drawings by drawing 3 jackets. I'll talk about that more later. I wanted to grow my Instagram and also start a TikTok account. And so I did a lot of research about both Instagram and TikTok, and I learned a lot about the best times to post and the best days to post. And I learned the best times to post are around 9 to 11 a.m. and also 5 p.m. And the best days to post are Sunday and Wednesday, and that is my Instagram, by the way. And I started my TikTok account, I think it was the last day of March, and so I'm kind of new to it, so I'm not quite sure what I'm doing, but this is my TikTok, and I learned that the best time to post is also around 9 to 11 a.m. and also after 8, because that's when most people are done with dinner and most active on social media platforms, especially TikTok. I think that's what I heard. And most of my followers are active around 2 p.m. You're meant to post 1 to 3 times per day, which I wasn't quite able to do because I had a lot of schoolwork. And you're meant to ask questions in the captions of your videos so you can interact in the comments. One of my main motivations and inspirations for my project was my favorite artist, Natalia Madjes. I really like her style, and she's done she's had a lot of improvement in the last year, and I'm really inspired by her to see how much I can improve in this short period of time. But something that wavered my inspiration and motivation, definitely art block. It's basically when you have no motivation to draw and everything, when you do try to draw, it just turns out not the way you want it to. And so you have to take some time off and then eventually you'll get back on track. And so would I pursue this project again or this topic again? Yes, definitely. I really like drawing and it helps me relax and I just enjoy it a lot. So what were these jackets exactly? I met with Judy and Jennifer, the art teachers, and over distance learning, and we decided I wanted to work on one thing in particular, which I picked out folds because that's one thing I really had issues with. And so I picked a pin from Pinterest and drew it 3 times at end of every month, March, April, and May. And one important thing I learned is that noticeable improvement doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of practice. And I did practice a lot in between each month, and I think I might have showed a little bit of improvement. And a lesson I learned is that practice doesn't make perfect, but instead shows your improvement. I'm never ever going to be able to draw this jacket perfectly, but at least I can improve each time. And if I was to redo this project, I'll talk about this more in the next slide, I wouldn't have done only digital art for the first few months, and I'll talk about why that was an issue. And so what caused my results is definitely practice and some patience. My original objective was to improve my drawings, which that was very subjective. That was a huge problem with it. And so a solution was those 3 jackets I just talked about. It's still subjective, kind of, but I think it's better than just drawing tons of different drawings and trying to see if I've improved from it. And so, like I was saying, another issue is I did a lot of digital art for the first 2 months. If you don't know what digital art is, it's on like a screen of like an iPad or a computer. And the issue with that is that it's really hard to see improvement from digital to traditional work because digital will often look much cleaner and better, you could say, than traditional, and it'll like fluctuate your style. And so that was one thing I really wish I didn't do. And like I was saying, something that really got in my way was art block. My biggest triumph, I think, was my improvement from the first to the second jacket, which caused that. I think it's a lot of practice and a lot of patience again. And so also my growth on Instagram, I had around, I think, 250 followers around January when we just was red lighting and green lighting our presentations. And then I managed to get, it's around 500 and almost 80. And I think a lot of that is just time, a lot of patience goes into that, and also you have to have good content. What I mean by that is you have to have good lighting. It's not necessarily what you post, but it has to be like good lighting, and you want to have a good picture, a high quality picture, and so that's something I think that helped me a lot. And so would I pursue this project? I think I definitely would pursue this project not only next year, but also in my spare time because, like I said again, I really enjoy drawing it and I find it a way to relax and also express my creativity. All right, this is some of my older art from December to April. So like I said, I did a lot of digital work January and February, so the ones with completely white backgrounds are digital. And so I had to go back in December and get some pictures from there to show my old art. So that's my old art, and this is some of my new art. This is all May and maybe a little bit of April. And so I had this little period of time when I was trying to do realistic drawing, like the lips you see, which I wasn't really into it, and I feel like I prefer doing the like more cartoony-ish style, but I think I have showed a lot of improvement from December to May, and so I'm quite happy about that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Josie. I'd like to, can you keep, Josie, can you keep that slide up? Can you continue to share your screen for just a second so we can see that slide?
All right, it's opening, I think.
Thank you. I'd like to invite some of the other students or presenters to invite Josie for a question.
How long have you been drawing for?
I've always been like drawing, but I think I more like seriously got into it when I was maybe like 11 or 12, or maybe, I don't know, around there-ish.
Do you prefer digital art or traditional art?
I mean, It really depends, honestly, because I feel like digital, like I said, looks a bit more clean, but sometimes I just prefer picking up an actual pencil and coloring it myself because I feel like it's a bit more of a challenge.
I see Izzy's got her hand raised. Izzy, go ahead.
I just asked mine.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. It's hard to keep track when I can't see your faces.
It's all
Kathleen
right.
Schulteis has a question.
Which art did you start first? Like, did you do digital art first, or did you do just like traditional art?
I think I definitely started traditional earlier because I didn't have access to like a computer or iPad when I
Okay.
was like 9 or 10.
Okay, I see Ashley's got a question.
What were some new techniques that you found you picked up over this project?
I feel like I definitely got a bit better at digital art, and also with some realism I tried. I did include these, but I did some like eyes, and I don't know where this went, but I feel like I definitely learned how to like work with colored pencils better, and so I'm quite happy about that.
I have one last question for you. Did you adapt your project because of the distance learning situation that we found ourselves in?
Yeah, I was kind of I mean it was pretty much an at-home project, but I still had to change a few things. Like I was originally going to start I tried to start a YouTube channel, but I didn't quite have the right equipment, and I didn't want to really I didn't want to like because we couldn't really go out, and so I had some trouble like shopping, and I didn't really want to get something online, and so I wanted to like actually talk to someone about it, and I just never really got into that.
Thank you so much, Josie. You can unshare your screen. And next, I'm going to invite Ashley to talk to us about dog training. It'll just take a minute for you to.
It's not letting me unshare it. It just says share. There's no.
Okay, let me see. I think I might be able to like take control of your screen. Stop presenting.
All right, cool.
Okay. Ashley, are you ready to share your screen?
Yep, can you see it?
Yes, I can. So Ashley, just one moment. I'm going to mute everyone and you're going to need to unmute yourself, okay? You can go right ahead now.
Okay. So I'm Ashley, and how many of you have dogs? Raise your hands virtually. I myself have a dog named Gizmo. For those of you who have dogs, and for some of you who don't, how many times have you been relaxing and minding your own business when all of a sudden I know it's happened to me all too often. So my genius hour this year was to train my dog. I wanted to help correct his bad behavior so that I could spend less time scolding him and more time enjoying moments with him. First things first was the trainer. Luckily, my mom has a friend who trains dogs for a living. She's been training at her current establishment for about a year and graduated from a dog behavioral college, majoring in dog training. Me and the trainer trained about once a week when we could, getting around all this pandemic stuff. Our first training sessions were just getting my dog to heel, walking by our side without going ahead or too far behind our feet, and auto-sitting when we stopped. The basics, simple things like that. Then we moved on to things like place, where he laid inside a boundary, waiting for the word free to be used, and threshold work, when he waits at the door for the command free and heel. At first, things seemed like they were going slow, but then gradually he caught on. Throughout this project, I learned that patience is a key component in training, and sometimes we had to repeat the exercise multiple times and multiple days before Gizmo finally caught on. My goal was to train and correct bad behavior in my dog, and I achieved that. But originally, I was also going to learn to train other dogs. My sisters have bigger dogs, so I wanted to know how to train those types of dogs too, and see the differences between smaller dogs and bigger dogs. But with this virus, me and the trainer weren't always able to meet, so I only got to my dog. I had to practice every day, and sometimes it was hard to keep up with daily practices, but it helped me with my time management skills. I had to find time between other things like school and chores for my dog training. It was a great experience to see him learn and grow and see how his behavior shifted from mischievous to more behaved. Over the summer and longer, I will continue to practice his training at least once a week. But I probably will not be continuing this into next year's Genius Hour. If I were to continue this project, I would probably train other dogs and experience the differences in how they behave. On Fridays at school, I would research other training and see different techniques with different dogs online, since I couldn't really do it in my Genius Hour. And also, I couldn't exactly bring my dog to school. When we trained at home, at first it was 30-minute sessions, but Gizmo got fussy, to say the least, toward the end, and we had to split it up into two 15-minute sessions. If I could do something different, I would definitely try and keep up with everyday sessions more often. But I can say that Gizmo has definitely improved throughout this process. And now, instead of this, it's more like this. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. I would like to invite somebody from the audience to start us off with some reflection questions. Go ahead, Isabella.
Why did you want to train other people's dogs and not just your dogs?
Well, because I have some sisters who have like bigger dogs that are like German Shepherds and like pit bulls. So I wanted to know if there was like a difference in like the behavior between different breeds and like personalities of dogs. So yeah, that's why I originally wanted to train other dogs.
Other questions from the audience? So I was also training my dogs during this distance learning time, and I also was having my dog sit when I stopped, and we were working with the place bed, but the place command was really hard for my dogs. And so I'm wondering if you can talk about how that command worked for your dog.
Basically, we just led him with a leash. If you go back to the place, you can see there's his leash on the floor. So we basically just led him and then used the down command, but we added the word place to it. And then whenever he got up, we just corrected him and like put him back on the place area. And we did this in not only just like that room that shows right there, but we did it with different mats all over. We didn't really use a specific bed. We just kind of used areas where there was like a boundary for him. But he definitely struggled when we did this practice with treats, where we threw treats and he had to stay on place. He still struggles with that one, but yeah, we just used the down command and then added the word place onto it.
You mean you threw treats around him?
Yeah.
He needed to stay on the place bed and not go get the treats?
Yeah. And he did it, but he still struggles with it sometimes. Like at first, every time when we just start that process, then he tries to get them, but then he eventually like realizes that he will get them at the end if he doesn't go for them.
Wow, okay. And with that, did you start to see how time and patience help you to achieve your goals for this project?
Yeah, we had to be very patient with him when he wasn't getting things or he was like struggling with like commands. So we just had to like reinforce it like multiple times, and I had to practice every day with the more things he struggled with. And yeah, I definitely learned patience is important when it comes to training.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ashley. I would like one more question from someone in the audience.
I have a question.
Sure, Lori.
What treat did you find worked best for your dog?
We just used like the name brand training treats. We didn't use anything special, just like the small training treats since he's a small dog. Yeah, and he likes wet treats, so we used like more like moist treats instead of like dry treats, and those are the ones he liked the best. So just like the little bags of training treats.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ashley, I have also heard that the moist treats are called high value treats, and the dogs do perform more for those treats than the dry ones.
He's definitely a food motivated dog.
Yes, a food motivated dog. Wow, well, thank you so much, Ashley. So you can unshare your screen. Thank you. And next, I'd like to invite Matthew, and Pear. So Matthew, and Pear, I'm not sure which one of you is sharing your screen, but you're welcome to go ahead and do that now. And we're going to hear about the Minecraft animation project next.
All right.
You're gonna do great.
Hey guys, what's up and welcome to another Genius Time presentation with Matthew L.
And Pear.
And Matthew S.
And just so you know, sorry in advance if one of us disconnects mid-presentation because our group has experienced a bit of difficulties in this call so far and some of us don't have the best internet.
Here are some of our animations and still images. The animations aren't nearly as long as we said in our pitch, and some are still in progress, but this is what we got.
Oh wait, hold on. Let me go back here. Hold on.
Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow.
Matthew, and Pear. I wonder if somebody in the group, another person in the group, has the presentation and can share it in the sharing screen.
That's weird. It should be shared.
Okay, share disabled private viewing. You can't move through the shared presentation on your own. Okay, so let me try. Go ahead.
I don't know why it's messing up. I don't know.
Do all three of, let's just do some problem solving. Do all three of you guys have the presentation? Can anyone else share it from their screen?
Well.
That looks pretty good. Is that you, Pear?
This is one that Matt made.
Okay.
You can talk about this one.
Yeah, it's basically just we made some still images, and this was basically mine. And
Okay, Matthew. So, do you want to talk through the images? They're fantastic, by the way. They're amazing. Would you be able to either remember some of the information on your Genius Hour presentation, or talk us through the process while you've got some of these still images on the screen?
hold on.
So we first started using software called Blender, but we learned that it was really hard to use, so we switched to a different program called Minimator, which was a lot easier.
Yeah, and with Minimator, so it took Pear about a month to get a skin on for Blender, and the skin is basically what your character looks like, if you didn't know that. And with Minimator, you had to click like 3 or 4 buttons, which was a lot easier since you can kind of tell from the name it's a lot easier. It's specifically made for what we were doing.
Some of the animators that gave us inspiration and tutorials were Tuts by Kai, Z Nathan, Sharpwind, and Anxious Cynic. Tuts by Kai gave us tutorials for Blender, and the rest helped us with Minimator.
Sorry, something's really glitchy for me.
Yeah.
So
You
we
guys
didn't have
did
much
a
time.
great job. You're working from 3 different houses and with some technology here, so you guys are doing a great job.
Yeah, it's
going.
kind of
So,
messed up.
We didn't have much time after we found out that Blender wasn't working for us, and we realized we couldn't make background on our school computers for the animation since it required to use like an actual world from the game. So me and Matt got Minimator on our home laptops, but Matthew was sadly stuck on a school computer.
So, I think I'll probably continue this project. It won't be like an everyday thing. It's like not on my top thing I'd want to do, but I'll probably do it like once a week. I have another animation that I'm kind of working on. I might share them over the summer.
Okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I will definitely keep doing this because I really like making these animations. I enjoy it a lot. So I will do it for sure. I'll try doing it a lot during the summer and try finishing one that I started.
I'm probably going to continue animating, not nearly as much, just because it's pretty hard, like, because I don't have great internet and I can't have any, like, I guess, like, any structures or whatever, because I don't have the game Minecraft. Yeah.
So, in our animations, we didn't really get in our pitch. We kind of said we were going to try and make like 1 to 2 minute animations, and our time length goal isn't even really close to that. Like Pear got a 20-second, but that was after quite a while of work. And it's interesting when you look on YouTube and you see these other animators that create stuff in like 2 weeks that are like 3 or 4 minutes long. Yeah, it's rather interesting. It was a bit more work than I thought, and for me, it was definitely it was a lot harder because you had to time stuff, and cameras were somewhat difficult.
That is all for our presentation. Any questions?
Yeah.
Sure. Oh, I see. Let's see, a hand raised.
Yeah.
Josie has a question, and then
we can
Ashley.
definitely.
Josie, go ahead.
Why did you want to do this project?
So, for me, it was that I just saw some kind of. It was mainly because of YouTubers who were making pretty cool kind of animations. I wanted to kind of try and see how they did it. And I see it's a bit harder than it looks, but it's quite an interesting thing that they do.
I'm the same as Matt. Really liked what I would see on YouTube. I watched a lot of it, and I always kind of wondered how they made it. So that's why I kind of did this.
I see Ashley's got a question.
Why did you guys choose to do this in a group?
Well, we all kind of liked it, so
Yeah.
we thought we'd do it together.
We all realized that we all had the same idea of wanting to do, so we did it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Izzy, you want to ask your question?
Do you have to like draw the animations, or are they CGI or drag and drop, or how are the pictures actually
So basically what it is that for the software we use, so on the internet you can go and like either find a texture or a model of like a weapon or like armor or something.
Item.
Yeah, an item. And basically you can either make it your own and stuff, and then you can take that thing, you can put it into the software if you like save it, and like it'll generate the item texture into the software. And it's not really like CGI, I guess, but well, I don't know exactly how to explain it. Pear might be able to explain it better.
It's more like programming.
Yeah.
It gives you everything on it. You don't have to draw anything or at all. It's just coding almost. You're coding it. They have like little points at the bottom where you can just move like an arm, and then there's diamond things that you move the timeline. You can place perfect timeline. You can put timeline places and stuff like that.
Like I can potentially show a demonstration if it'll let me.
That would be great. That would be great.
Just have it load up.
While you're sharing your screen and it's taking a minute to load, Thomas has a question.
Great.
First off, guys, great work. It was really fun working with you and problem solving and finding a way around Blender. I'm curious, are any of you interested in doing kind of more animation moving forward, maybe even jumping into something outside of Minimator?
Yeah, I think I'd have to
think that'd be
consider it,
fun.
but I think I might.
Yeah, it'd be fun to do that, I think.
Yeah.
I want to retry Blender because I found a bunch of other tutorials that I did not find before.
Awesome.
Helped a
That's
lot.
great to hear.
Pear, do you want to show an image from your screen?
Yeah, so if I do share the PowerPoint again. So yeah, you saw this, probably what Matt made. And then Matthew made this. And I made this.
It's rather lagging.
Oh.
It just teleported Matthews.
Alright. Can you see this now?
Yeah, we can see that. So you had to program like all of those purple pixels or any of the flames. Each of those little squares is an actual thing that you programmed?
No, so
on it,
basically
there's this. You can
Sorry, you can
explain.
explain.
I am. So actually, this is a thing that they put on. So probably you can't see it because it's in a render, but if you're not in it, there will be this little cube kind of like right in front of that kind of torch, and that is like the spawning area of all these. So I was able just to edit it so I could expand how far it spawns and how many there were. And then I just added a little glow effect to them and brightness, so it's easier to notice.
So I can kind of show what it looks like. in the actual software if it actually decide. Oh, sheesh, it's flashing. Alright. Is it just a white screen?
Yes.
Alright.
No, we can see a number of images.
It's just flashing. Maybe I'll try something else real quick.
So we've got about a minute more for you guys, and then we'll move on to the last group. Is there one last thing you want to show? Wow.
So, basically, hold on, let me drag this up here. So, as you can see, there's these little, like, diamond-shaped things down here. So, each of these little hash marks is a frame, and about 12 frames, which is about right here, is half a second. So 24 frames is a second. So you have this much area that you fill stuff in with. And this is like my incomplete one, but basically you would have to basically have one base area that has each object, and you have a starting position, and then you have to, each of these things can move, so you can like move like that, you can move it. You can also bend it.
Wow, so Matthew, and Pear, seeing this visualization helps us to see just how complex this is, and I can imagine that it would take you a very long time to learn how to do it and then get good at it. So I want to thank you so much. I see Brad's got one question, and then we will move on to Isabella.
It's not even a question, just you guys did such an awesome job with being out of school and being in a group of 3 trying to manage a project that you're all working on together, but not being able to do it together, like sitting next to each other. Must have been a really difficult process. And so I'm just really impressed that you guys were able to pull this together and make it something that was pretty awesome. Can you guys quickly talk about any of the frustrations you had with not being able to work together, sitting next to each other through this project?
Well, it's harder to schedule times because some people are busy.
Right.
And also, just when we're trying to share and like show each other stuff, it sometimes kicks people, and it's also somewhat laggy.
Yeah, Pear, were you going to say something?
Especially when we were in quarantine. It's like probably 2 weeks after we switched, we got in quarantine, so we just started how to do it. So like it's really hard to like teach each other some stuff that we learned on it. Then we used some like Microsoft Teams because of sharing the screen stuff. We were able to share screens and show it.
We mainly use software Discord. Because it also had a screen sharing service, and we all had it.
Okay. Well, I'm really proud of you guys for coming together and making such a cool project. So good work.
And so the presentation was probably a bit short since like all the stuff got messed up.
Oh, absolutely. You guys did the best with what you had available to you. So good job.
I agree, guys. Thanks for doing some problem solving and doing some presenting on the fly. Next, I'd like to invite Isabella is going to talk to us about Taekwondo. So I'm going to mute everybody, and then Isabella, when you're ready to share your screen, you can unmute yourself as well.
Okay, starting right now. Okay. I'm Isabella Ordonez-Sorshell, and my Genius Hour project is teaching Taekwondo and why it is safe. Raise your hand if you have join a martial arts? I'm assuming no one. Oh, that's nice. Now, raise your hand if you are willing to share why you have not considered or joined a martial art. I will call some people if you're willing to share. Josie?
Probably because I don't want to get hurt.
Okay. That's fair. I will be telling you about my journey in teaching new students in Taekwondo, as well as talking about the pros and cons about starting the sport and why it's safe. In Taekwondo, my original teacher and current teacher have said that back in the day, they got beat up while fighting. My current teacher wasn't allowed to train, but trained in the gym anyways. This happened because at the time they thought only the toughest, strongest, and fastest should train, not women or small kids. If you want to try martial arts, be aware that you will not get hurt. In fact, Taekwondo is the safest Olympic sport. Now you need to know a little bit about Taekwondo. It is a South Korean martial art originating about 2,300 years ago. In each gym, they do belts a little bit differently, such as some gyms might have camel belts or pink belts. My gym does it according to the World Taekwondo Federation, which has 10 belts, not including the multiple black belts. I am currently a blue belt in the sport, and I have been doing Taekwondo for about 1.5 years. And here's a video showing what professional athletes in the sport do, as well as lower belts, just at a lower level.
Isabella, is there a problem?
There's supposed to be a video. I don't know if it's...
Why don't you try to unshare your screen and then try sharing again?
Okay. There's supposed to be a video showing right now. I don't know if you can see it.
Maybe you have to switch your sharing screen to the video.
Oh no, do you know what? I pressed the button and I was able to make it play. Can you share your screen again?
Yeah. It's loading. So I guess just click the button there, and then it will play a video.
are you able to move to the next slide?
Sure, I was just waiting for everybody to join session the video again. Not sure. I wanted to teach Taekwondo as my project because I have been doing Taekwondo for a while and it is one of my passions. I also want everybody to stay healthy while having fun, as well as everybody to learn in a safe environment. The lockdown did affect Taekwondo a lot since classes were only online and I couldn't attend them because of school. I did have time to prepare for a belt test that we were going to have when we come back then. Before the lockdown, I did meet all of my goals, such as teaching 2 individual classes, teaching in the gym more than 5 times, and doing a tournament with the people I taught. While teaching Taekwondo in and out of the gym, I did have some trouble with a few things. With the younger students, I had trouble getting them to pay attention. Some of them would just look around and not take in anything I was saying. Others would just walk over to their friends and start talking, causing them to get distracted. Because of this, I would have to experiment with different teaching methods to get them to listen, and oftentimes I would have to repeat things more than once. However, I did have help from some people when I was teaching in the gym. Let's say that you are going to join Taekwondo. You are going to have to keep in mind the pros and cons of joining. The pros are that you will learn self-defense, and you will have fun while staying healthy. If for some reason you are in an unsafe situation, you will learn how to get away safely. You will also learn discipline, and Taekwondo is one of the safest sports in the world. The cons are that you might accidentally get hurt, and no one will hurt you on purpose. You will have to pay for uniforms, fighting gears, and the belts after you earn them, and you will have to travel for tournaments such as from Spokane to Montana. Joining Taekwondo. Let's say that you do end up joining Taekwondo. You have to keep in mind that you are going to be safe and you're going to have help if needed or requested. But do keep in mind that it's going to take about 2 to 4 months to get to the next belt, so you're not going to become like a master in a week. And any previous experience is not needed, and any ages are allowed. These are the Taekwondo belts according to the World Taekwondo Federation. It's in the order white, white, yellow, 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 green, 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 blue, 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 red, red, black, and then 9 degrees of black. And then the journey. Both teachers that I mentioned earlier created a safe and successful learning environment for all students. Remember that you will be safe and you won't regret joining if you do end up joining. That's it.
Thank you so much. Now let's take some questions from the audience.
Ashley?
So when this like pandemic stuff started, did you like teach like online, or did you still like go teach kids?
I would have taught online, but I couldn't because of school. There were online classes, but I was not able to attend any of them because of school.
Other questions? Isabella, I have a question.
Yeah.
What do you think, let's see, what do you think, actually no, it's about how did you discover Taekwondo?
It was about 4.5 years ago when actually my mom is friends with the owner of the gym that we do Taekwondo at, and she made a post on Facebook about kids joining Taekwondo, and she was like, and my mom was just like, oh, you want to join Taekwondo, you gotta learn how to fight and self-defense and stuff. And that's how I discovered it. And I'm happy that she made us join.
So as a teacher myself, I always find it interesting when students become teachers, because then sometimes it changes the type of students that they become. So you had a challenge with kids not listening to you. What were some of the other challenges that you had with students that makes you reflect a little bit on who you are as a student and how you interact with your own teachers?
I'll have to think about that a little bit. But probably that some students would. There were a few students that ended up quitting a little bit after they joined, but I feel like that's more of a problem of them joining it because it happened with also students that I didn't teach. So I'm not really sure about that. And I would have to think about that question a little bit.
That's okay. That's a good answer. Any other questions or any other comments about Isabella's presentation? I'll just say one last thing. I really admire your perseverance to start a sport and then continue for so long. Shows your dedication and your perseverance, and you were pretty smart to turn this into a Genius Hour project. So good work on that one.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'd like to, I think we've come to a close, and I'd like to thank Izzy, and I'd like to thank Gemma and Kate and Josie and Ashley and Matthew and Pear and Isabella for sharing your Genius Hour journeys with us and being such great risk takers as you present in front of this audience of people. You might not know everyone in the audience, and so thanks for your bravery and courage in presenting. And thank you very much. I'm going to end the meeting and stop the recording. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.